Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today, Joe. We have September 9th, and our article today is Speaking Up About What is Normal.
我们的中文标题是萨夫瓦特沙利姆克服恐惧活出自我
Okay, now we're going to read through today's article as we always do. And then, as we always do, we go back and reread each and every sentence in English, and we get a passable translation from Wesley. In a 2016 TED Talk, animator Safwat Salim used humor to address a problem that he had dealt with for much of his life, being confident about speaking out loud. Between the jokes and laughter, Salim detailed how he overcame this fear and where it came from in the first place. As a child, Salim had a stutter and was mocked by his classmates. This left him scared to talk, and so he didn't. Once he began working in animation and making videos, he found a way to use his voice. He used his voice in the videos, and thanks to the magic of audio editing, he could fix or re-record parts he didn't like. This made him feel normal. Then one day, he posted an educational video and was thrilled by the positive comments that came in. But soon enough, negative comments on his voice and accent started to pour in. This brought him back to feeling like the stuttering kid again. Salim came to realize that, despite what internet commentators suggest, what is normal is not a fixed concept. What leads people to label something as normal or not is how well they can relate to it. Unfortunately, not relating to others starts at an early age. Prejudice and discrimination are learned when people are young. Salim is once again using his voice because, as he said, giving up is not an option. Rather than listen to others tell him that he isn't normal or good, he can challenge people's pre-existing opinions of how someone should speak. He acknowledged that changing others' perceptions takes time, but he believes his effort will be worth it in the end.
So, in a 2016 TED Talk, animator Safwat Salim used humor to address a problem that he had dealt with for much of his life, being confident about speaking out loud. So an animator, this is somebody who draws animals or things moving. People. Draws pictures moving. And to be an animator requires an incredible concentration because sometimes you can draw 30 drawings just to get 1 second of material. And you have to sort of maintain the mood of these 30 drawings and relate it to each part of that picture that you drew has to relate to all the other 30 pictures you drew in minuscule ways. I think about animators and I go, gosh, they have a very hard job. Anyway, so that's his job. And then he used humor to address a problem, to talk about a problem that he had dealt with for much of his life, being confident about speaking out loud.
好，所以在一个2016年的 TED Talk 里面呢，animator 就是一个动画师啊。那刚刚 Angela 老师讲说，动画师是需要高度的专心专注的啊，而且他们做的事情很不容易啊。那动画师啊，他的名字 Safwat Salim。他怎么样呢 ？Used humor， 他用幽默来 address a problem 哈 ，address a problem 通常表示 think about the problem and begin to deal with it 啊，常常是个 problem 或者一个 issue。但在这里呢，我觉得这个 address 还蛮有趣的，因为双关语啊，因为他也是在发表一个 address 啊，所以他在 address a problem 啊，他当然字面上的意思说他在这个用幽默来处理一个问题啊，那这个问题是怎么样 ？That he had dealt with 这问题他面对。而且处理了这个问题 for much of his life， 他的生命里面大多数的时间都在处理这个问题。好，什么问题呢？冒号，接下来告诉你，这个问题就是 being confident about 对于什么事情感到有信心，对什么事感到有信心呢？对于 speaking out loud 大声说出自己想的事情，也就是表达意见这件事情来讲，这是他一辈子都在处理在面对的事情，就怎么样能够很有信心的把自己的想法说出来。
Between the jokes and laughter, Salim detailed how he overcame this fear and where it came from in the first place. So in his TED Talk, he used a lot of humor, and people enjoyed listening to his talk. He told some jokes, and people laughed at them. And he used this as a way to detail. Here we use detail as a verb, and that is to show very clearly, either step by step or description by description, about his own experience, how he himself overcame this fear. To overcome a fear is to deal with it successfully. Then you're no longer afraid of it. And where it came from. Where does this fear come from? Where does any fear we have come from? In the first place, to begin with, to understand your fear, you have to think about it and logically approach it. Then maybe you can deal with it and overcome it.
好，所以 between 就在什么之间 ？The jokes 他显然一边这个发表谈话，一边讲了一些笑话，在这个笑话还有 laughter。在这些笑话跟笑声之间呢 Celine detailed 这个是动词就详细说明 give full information about 他详细的说明 how he overcame this fear 他如何克服了这个恐惧所以 overcome a fear 好，那他如何克服了恐惧，而且呢还谈了 where it came from it 就是指这个 fear 这个恐惧是从哪里来的 in the first place 这个恐惧一开始最早的时候从哪里来的所以 in the first place 在这里就是 to begin with 或者 initially 的意思。
So as a child, Salim had a stutter. A stutter is when you're unable to form words completely without repeating parts of the word. And he was mocked by his classmates. His classmates made fun of him for his stutter.
好，所以小时候呢 as a child Celine had a stutter 他有口疾stutter 就是口疾 and was mocked 他因此被嘲笑被取笑被 tease 或者是 laugh at tease 就是 T-E-A-S-E 所以他被嘲笑被取笑 by his classmates 被他同学嘲笑取笑。
This left him scared to talk, and so he didn't. If people laugh at you because of the way you talk, most kids will tend not to say anything that will stop people making fun of you.
好，所以 this left him, leave 的过去式就是 left. Leave 在这里的意思就是 to cause someone to be in a particular state, 让某人处于某一个特别的状态。所以这个地方呢，就让他处于什么状态呢？处于一个害怕说话的状态。scared to talk 就是害怕说话也就是他非常的害怕 scared 就是 frightened 的意思那因为他害怕说话，所以这个句子的结尾很有力量 and so he didn't 所以他就不说话了就因为这样他就不说话了。
Now, once he began working in animation and making videos, and these things are about producing ideas and releasing them to the world. So through this, he found a way to use his voice. He found a way to make himself heard in the world.
好，所以一旦他开始 working 开始工作in animation 开始在动画界工作，然后呢 and making videos 开始制作这些影片之后呢 he found a way to do something 就是他找到了一个方法可以去做什么在这里做什么呢 to use his voice 他找到一个方法来使用他的声音。
He used his voice in the videos. That is, he used his own voice. We often use the verb tape here, just as we are doing now, taping a program. We are recording a program. He used his voice while taping his videos, and thanks to the magic of audio editing. Audio refers to sound, as in the word auditorium. It's a place where sounds are, where we go to listen to things.
Yeah, 礼堂. Yeah.
And by editing or changing things the way into what you want, he could fix, repair, or re-record parts he didn't like of his own voice. So he could listen to his own voice. Oh, I'll keep that. No, I don't want that. So he could edit it out, keep things in. He could do whatever he wanted with the soundtrack.
好，所以 he used his voice， 他使用他的声音啊 ，in the videos 啊，在他影片里面他用他的声音，而且呢 ，thanks to 就多亏了 the magic of audio editing 啊 ，audio editing 就是音频的编辑啊 ，audio 就跟声音有关的。那现在这个音频编辑软体非常的发达，所以啊 the magic 这个神奇的地方啊，这个其实10年前就有朋友跟我讲说，任何人都可以灌唱片。啊，你只要能够出声，你就可以灌唱片啊，因为你出声唱的就算再怎么走音再怎么样，他都有办法用软体帮你修到声音很好听啊。这是这个 magic of audio editing。好，那所以因为有这个 audio editing 的可以做的这些神奇的事情，所以 he could fix， 他可以 fix 在这里就是 mend 或者是 repair 哈 ，mend 是 M-E-N-D 啊，修改，他可以修改或者 re-record 重录。Parts he didn't like， 有一些他不喜欢的地方，他就把它修改掉，或者干脆就重新录。
Being able to do this made him feel normal. Being able to make sure that his voice sounded good through the magic of video editing made him feel like he spoke normally.
那这使他觉得他很正常。
Then, one day, he posted an educational video and was thrilled by the positive comments that came in. Okay, so then after he re-recorded or fixed parts he didn't like in his own editing, when he recorded his voice, he went over it to make sure it sounded right to him. Then he posted that as an educational video. He was going to show people or teach people something, and he was thrilled. He was excited. He was so happy by the positive comments. People complimented him. Wow, that's really a good program, and I learned a lot from it, and it sounds great. That came in. In other words, these are the reactions to his program.
OK， 好，所以呢 ，then one day 有一天 he posted 他贴了一段 educational video， 就是教育影片。然后呢 ，he was thrilled by thrill 就是这个让他突然间感到很兴奋或者很感动啊，很快乐啊？为什么呢 ？By the positive comments， 因为有一些正面的一些评论 that came in 啊，就是他得到 he received quite a lot of positive comments 啊，所以他听到一些蛮好的正面的一些评论，所以他觉得非常的 thrilled， 他觉得哇，很高兴，很兴奋。
But soon enough,negative comments on his voice and accent started to pour in because, well, as they say, just don't read the comments.
Yeah.
The comments under any video are always a mix of very nice things and very ugly things. So you're going to get both.
Yeah. 所以其实所有音乐的这些 videos， 它底下 comments 一定有一些好的，也一定有一些很不好的，而且是奇怪的，从很奇怪的角度说你不好的啊，所以这个看看干脆有的时候就不用看了啊。那在这里他讲到说 soon enough 这个感觉起来意识上就是没多久啊，那但是有一点像我们讲的不用等太久啊，会来的马上就来了 soon enough 很快的呢 negative comments 一些负面的一些评论 on his voice， 他对于他声音的他声音的一些负面的评论，还有他的 accent， 他有些口音，这些评论呢 started to pour in pour in 就涌入所以前面这个positive comments 是 came in 只是来了，但这个地方负面的评论呢是 pour in 是像潮水一样涌进来了。
Even more.
Yeah， 更多感觉起来。
This brought him back to feeling like the stuttering kid again. He reacted to all of these negative comments, and it made him feel, when I was a kid, people laughed at me. They mocked me for having a stutter. I have the feeling maybe his native language was not English, and he was learning it as a child. I'm just guessing here. But in any case, these negative comments took him back to the same feeling he had as a child, which wasn't very nice.
好，所以 this brought him back to 就这个把他带回了。那这个 to 是介系词，所以后面 feeling 加了 ing，所以这把他带回了感觉，就好像那一个口疾的小孩那样子的感觉，又再一次的again， 所以这又再一次的把他带回了感觉，就好像当初那个口疾的小孩一样那样子的状况。好，所以 brought him back to 那个 to 是介系词，把他带回了什么样的状态？
Now, Salim came to realize that, despite what internet commentators suggest, what is normal is not a fixed concept. So he began to realize that there's like a community standard, and that's considered to be normal, but that standard is arbitrary. It could be changed in any way.
好，所以 Celine 他这个 came to realize that 他逐渐的了解到，好 ，despite 不管 what internet commentators suggest， 好 ，internet commentators 就是网络评论者，所以不管网络评论者怎么说，怎么样的 suggest 不管怎么样 ，what is normal 所谓的正常 is not a fixed concept， 它不是一个固定的概念这一点其实蛮重要的那刚刚这个 Angela 讲到说，所谓的 normal 常常就是 arbitrary 就是一个很随意任意的就指定出来的一个状态那 arbitrary 怎么拼呢 ？arbitrary arbitrary 这个就是这个硬性规定的我们常常讲语言是一种 arbitrary 为什么这个叫桌子？它就是叫桌子嘛这叫 arbitrary。所以呢，他说什么叫做 normal 的呢？它不是一个 fixed， 不是一个固定的 concept， 当然是一个概念的意思。
Right. It's not a physical fact. It's not a truth. It's an agreement, usually unconscious agreement, among a group of people, what is acceptable or not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
What leads people to label something as normal or not is how well they can relate to it.In other words, if something seems strange to them, they cannot relate to it easily, they will call it abnormal. The opposite of normal is abnormal. It's an A-B, then N-O-R-M-A-L. People think things they're not used to, that are new to them, are abnormal.
所以这个句子的主词是 what leads people to label something as normal or not.这整个东西是主词所以 what the thing that leads 引导使得人们 to 去 label 就是标示 something 把某个东西标示为 as normal or not 正常还是不正常，也就是说会让人们去标示某件事情是正常还是不正常的这个理由或原因呢，其实是is 是主要动词 is how well they can relate to it 其实是他们跟这个东西能够产生 能够 relate to 的程度怎么样。这 relate to 它可以表示 identify with 有的时候是 feel sympathy for 有的时候是 make a connection between A and B 所以就是这个 relate to 大概中文我们可以这个大概可以翻成他们可以如何的感受或者理解或者这个有同理心这种感觉 Yeah.
Unfortunately, not relating to others starts at an early age, which is to say that you can learn relating and you can learn to not relate well to other people all in early childhood.
那 unfortunately 很不幸的，那这个句子它的主词是 not relating to others 是一个动名词片语，但是是否定的 not relating to others 很不幸的你跟别人没有办法产生连结，没有办法产生认同，没有那个同理心，这样的一个事情呢，这种状况呢 starts at an early age 其实是我们很小的时候就开始了。
Prejudice and discrimination are learned when people are young. You can prove this quite easily. When babies are, really small babies, just a few months old, when people, it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter their age, it doesn't matter their race or language ability, anything like that. When a proud mother and father show the baby is happy to see anybody. It has no prejudice. It has no feeling of being for or especially against somebody. It doesn't discriminate against anyone because it hasn't learned to do that yet. Prejudice and discrimination are not normal behavior. They are learned behaviors.
好，所以 prejudice 偏见 discrimination 歧视，偏见跟歧视呢，其实都是后天学来的。好，这刚刚 Bruce 老师讲，小孩子刚刚生下来的时候，他不会歧视任何人啊，他看到人都会觉得很高兴啊。所以呢，这个东西呢，偏见跟歧视是 are learned 是学习来的，而且是什么时候学到呢 ？When people are young 啊，很年轻的时候，我们就学会了偏见跟歧视。
Salim is once again using his voice because, as he said, giving up is not an option.
Good for him.
It's true. When you are being challenged that who you are at basic is somehow wrong, you have to insist that who you are is right because it's who you are.
所以呢 Salim is once again 他再一次的 using his voice 再一次的用他的声音。为什么呢？ Because as he said 正如他所说的 giving up is not an option 就是放弃不是一个选项，也就是说我不可能放弃，我不能放弃。
Rather than listen to others tell him that he isn't normal or good, he can challenge people's pre-existing opinions of how someone should speak. So instead of allowing yourself to be mocked and deciding, well, I'm bad and I shouldn't talk or I should change in some way, rather than doing that, he can challenge people. You're saying that, my voice is strange or you don't like my voice, but have you really thought of why that is? Don't you understand me? Or, some people might have a high voice or a low voice. Some people talk very quickly. Others are quite slow. And maybe we prefer one thing to another, but are those people wrong or bad? He's challenging them, and he's not going to give up. He's going to continue to protect himself and try to teach other people not to have prejudice and discrimination against how people talk.
好，所以呢 rather than 就是不要，他选择不要这样子不要怎样呢 listen to others tell him that he isn't normal or good 他不要就听别人告诉他说他不正常，他不好，他不要这样子，他要怎样呢？He can challenge 他可以挑战 挑战人们的 pre-existing opinions 事先存在的那些意见或想法。其实这个 pre-existing opinions 其实就是先入为主事先存在的常常就是一个偏见所以呢他可以挑战别人事先存在的那些想法什么样的想法呢 of how someone should speak 你认为一个人讲话该是什么样子，这个都是我们事先都已经预设好的一个印象我们从小到大都觉得说人讲话应该是这样子，但是呢只是我们自己 pre-existing 的一个偏见，那个不是事实没有人告诉你说谁应该要怎么讲话。
So he acknowledged, or I guess he accepted, that changing others' perceptions takes time. To change other people's opinions isn't something that will happen in an instant. But he believes his effort will be worth it in the end. He believes it's worth it to try to talk to people about this.
Acknowledge 就是承认admit the truth of something 他承认呢 changing others' perceptions 改变别人的认知perception 是认知，你要改变别人的认知是需要时间的，他承认这一点 takes time 需要时间但是呢他相信他的 effort will be worth it 会值得in the end 到最后会证明他的努力是值得的他的 effort will pay off in other words.
Okay, that's it. That's it for today's lesson. We have one more time with you this month until the end